Welcome to Securing Multi-Tier Modern Application Architecture with Voltstack. This demo, I will show you how you can leverage Voltstack Transparent Forward Proxy Policy to apply an Egress security policy as well as network policy. As a quick recap, this is an example 3-tier demo financials application that simulate a bank's payment processing network. These 3-tier applications are deployed in a single Voltstack Kubernetes cluster segregated via Kubernetes namespace. In my intro demo, I show you how a potential hacker able to perform reconnaissance or enumerations of the environment once they manage to breach the application on the web tier. I also shown how a hacker able to connect to internet to download additional tools to assist in the reconnaissance or to perform further attack. In this demo, I'm going to show you how you can easily mitigate or at least reduce the lateral movement risk by limiting hackers' movement by applying forward proxy rule to restrict connectivity from within whichever namespaces in the Kubernetes. Here, what I had is that I have logged on to the front end. This is a web tier, the BO web. This is a BOA apps, and this is the BOA DB. And this is another namespace in the default namespace, which is not part of the 3 tiers namespace. In addition to that, I have a syslog server here. This syslog server, basically, I'm constructing of egress policy rule to say that this is my forward proxy policy. All namespaces allowed to go to the Voltera.io. All namespace allowed to Google.com. The BOA apps, this is the BOA apps, are able to go to the syslog server, which is running on TCP. This is a 10.122, which is currently what I'm doing a tail here. I also have the BOA DB able to allow to talk to the backup server. Currently, I don't have a backup system running here. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to just do a SSH to here. Now let's log into the Voltera console. By the way, this is the applications, the BOA or the Bank of Voltera that I have shown you previously. Alright, so once you log in, what happens is that the forward proxy is actually applied at the system level. So what I need to, at the global level, what I need to do is that I go to the system management, go to my Voltstack. Currently there's no policies applied, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to apply. Before that, let me show you what is the forward proxy policy that I have created here. This one, forward proxy on Voltstack 1. I put it into the shared namespace. If I do edit, let me show you what I already created here. Under here, I have a custom rule list that I created. What I did here is that I put BO web namespace, HTTPS, and basically this is a whitelist for the BO web, BO apps, and BOA DB. So if you look at this one, under the source label selector, what I put here is that any namespaces in BOA web, BOA DB, and BOA apps. So this policy is allowed for any, if you are coming from this 3 namespace, and the rest will be default denied. So in this destination domain, you have the flexibility to put whether what's a TLS domain, HTTP or IPv4 prefix list, or BGP ASN number, ASN set, or label selector. So in this case, if I put the TLS, I'm saying that I'm allowed to go to f5.com, google.com, voltera.io, and alpinelinux.org, as well as ubuntu.com. So basically, this tool is added in so that I can run apt update or apk install. Apart from this rule, I have set up another rule here. Is to do the whitelist for HTTP. The first one is HTTPS, the second one is HTTP. And I have a rule for syslog as well here. So what here does is that it allowed the BOA apps to talk to a syslog server. you can see that the same thing. I'm selecting the namespace. This is the implicit namespace in Voltstack. I will say that any namespaces coming from any source label selected coming from BOA apps, I'll allow it the destination choice will be 10.176 or 10.122/32. So basically that's the syslog server. And for the backup, I say that talk to the backup server, and for this one it's on a different IP address, which 10.20. And imagine, as I mentioned just now, is that this is a cluster level, it's a global level. So what happened is that I only interested to apply the policy for the 3 namespaces as I mentioned. So what I did is that at the end of the rule, I put one rule to say allow other namespaces, because I don't want to touch on those. So you can construct a rule to say this action, the last action is allowed. The source label, what it said here is that any label that is not BOA-web, BOA-db, or BOA-app, this one will be allowed to all destination. What I mean here is that this is a last rule, a catch-all rule to say that anything that not belongs to this 3 namespace, I don't want to force anything, I just let it go. So basically this is the policy that I have created. So now what I need to do is that I need to apply this policy onto my Voltstack. So I go to the system, site management, Voltstack site. Under the Voltstack one, I click edit. In here, under the network configuration, you click edit. Here you can see that there's a security configuration. You can create your network policy, and as well as the forward proxy policy. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to apply this forward proxy policy, and I'm going to select the forward proxy policy that I created, which is called Voltstack 1-FP. So what I need to do is just apply and save. Okay, what I mean is that currently this forward proxy, outbound forward proxy, transparent forward proxy already applied on the Voltstack. In fact, I can check under the site security. Run a new tab. You should you're able to see the event whether it's allowed or denied as part of the firewall logs. Alright, let me probably I will just filter based on what I want, which is a site called Voltstack 1, because there will be others event here happening as well. So you can see that there's some activities happening. So what I am going to do, this is actually is from other namespaces. Remember that I only apply the firewall rule on a default proxy rule only on the 3 namespaces. So this is a logs on other namespaces. If you click details, you can see that it's actually coming from a different namespace, my SPK namespace. So I'm not interested on this. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to try a few. Let's say, for example, if I jump onto the front end, if I go to the front end, remember that in the intro video, the attacker managed to get some binaries from one of the websites that I created. Like, let's say, for example, that you get http aws.fruits.com.au and Mac. This time, you can see that I'm no longer able to connect to this because it's forbidden. Or even though if I try to clone https ps maybe apple.com, but this one will fail as well because apple.com is not in the list of authorized destinations. Let's say, for example, f5.com. You can see that I can, from the namespace, from the port, I'm able to connect to the f5.com without me requiring me to do any of pointing to proxy, because in the Voltstack there's a transparent forward proxy capabilities that you can leverage on. Let's say, for example, if I connect to the maybe the contact for the BO web as well, the same thing. If I try to go to https maybe aws.fruits.com.au, this one will be blocked as well because you're not this one is not authorized to go there. So remember that this is this is the HTTP type of protocol. Let's say, for example, or maybe if I try from a not the tree namespace, for example, in a default namespace, I can still go to the https aws.voltstack.au -k. You can see from default namespace, I can still get to the website, or maybe if I go to https apple.com, I can get to the Apple. But for all this namespace, I won't be able to get to the Apple because of the port for proxy that I apply on these three namespaces. All right. Remember that we have some other policy, like for example, a telnet and syslog. For example, in the database, I have some system that I need to do a backup, for example, and in here, I think I think 10.176, maybe 10. The backup server is 10.20. So what I am going to do that you can see that I get 10.20. I can log in. Just as I said, I don't have a backup server there. Just to show you that I can actually connect to this external server. You can see I can log into this server. Whereas in other, let's say for example, this is a app tier. If I try to, do I have a switch? Okay. If I SSH admin 10.176.10.20, you see this one is got blocked. So what I mean here is that within the app tier, I'm unable to connect to this external host, whereas in this DB tier, I'm able to connect. So this is again the Volt proxy capabilities. Or the other one that I want to demonstrate as well, the syslog here 10.122. That's where I have the syslog server currently running here. So if I'm going to run from currently, let's say, I believe I have logger. Sorry. Yeah. So if I try to run this, 1, 2, or 3, you don't see any logging happening on this box. But if I try to do it on the, I think on the app tier, they can talk to syslog. Maybe I'll do the same using the same command. But I would say that this BOA app test 1, test 2, test 3. You can see that the contact, this is actually coming from the contacts service, which is this one, is actually able to send a syslog to this syslog server. Whereas on the web tier, 5 is failed because it's got blocked by the Volt proxy. Let's say 4. You can see that. So from the policy, you can easily apply an egress policy to limit the movement of the potential hacker once they're able to compromise into one of the ports. All these activities are actually being logged in the console as well. If I go to here, if I do a refresh, maybe not the last 1 hour, maybe past 5 minutes. If I want to just filter off all the deny, you can see that this 514 got denied, probably 22 got denied as well. Remember that I'm trying to, if I try to look into this deny 22, and you can see that it's actually from the BOA app. Remember that only BOA DB are able to connect out to this endpoint 1022 because I'm coming from BOA app. That's why it's got denied. So the other way that you can monitor the activity is by looking into the logs. For For example, if let's say there's too many deny, for example, potential hackers, once they manage to get in, potentially they run some port scanning, for example. They download the nmap and they try to do a port scanning on port maybe 5432 or port 22. So from here, you can see that if there's a lot of denied connections, obviously you can do your triage to see understandings what's happening, or the allowed. You can see there's a allowed connections as well. There's a lot of allowed, by the way, and all these logs. So you can see that so you can see that it's so easy for me to just enable and disable default proxy rules to prevent any further lateral movement from the hacker once they get into the applications. From here, I clearly demonstrated what the BOA web they can do, what BOA app can do, and what BOA DB can do. So this is all based on a few clicks to apply the proxy policy onto the Voltstack. Thank you for watching.